Look, bang on as expected. The market was predicting 0.2% for the quarter right through all last week. There was a bit of juggling in the numbers yesterday when some last-minute figures lobbed, but yeah, pretty much as expected. The thing I guess you've got to realise is that there's only two factors that are keeping us out of recession at the moment. One is population growth. So that is essentially adding more households to the economy, mostly through immigration. And the second is government spending. So those two factors combined are what is keeping the economy with its head above water.
So that's keeping us afloat. Where do the weaknesses lie?
That's right. The weaknesses are mostly in household expenditure. So that's down dramatically during the quarter and in discretionary spending. So that's essentially those interest rate hikes that we've seen come through are doing what they're designed to do, which is to restrict spending. GDP is actually a pretty blunt kind of measure when it comes to economic performance. All it does is measure the amount of stuff we produce and consume. So, there's an argument that it's a dumb way to keep yourself out of recession simply by adding more people into the economy, because it's not a real reflection of your economic performance. So if you strip that out, we've gone backwards for 6 consecutive quarters, which is not a great performance for the economy.
So how does this fit in with what else is happening in the economy, Ian, in particular inflation and jobs?
Well, we've still got inflation. We've still got an inflation problem there with above 4%, so it's way above the Reserve Bank's target for where they want to see. The employment numbers have been much better than expected. So there's a bit of a dichotomy there, I guess, with what do you do next? There's a lot of economists who are worried that our employment is too strong, and they're arguing that this is actually adding to the inflationary pressure in the economy. But there are other economists saying, that the government is spending too much and it should wind back. But if it did that, we would be in recession.
Well, when the Reserve Bank was raising rates, that was the fear, wasn't it? That it would be too aggressive, that we would be pushed into recession. Is this what we're seeing now? We are in a per capita recession.
Absolutely.
What about a mainstream recession, the one that we all know and
Well, I think the per capita recession is actually the more important number to look at the moment, because that is a measure of exactly how much pain households are feeling at the moment. It's measured today in these numbers with household expenditure really dropping quite sharply. And, if that continues, that's going to flow through to businesses. We've just had the company reporting season, the earnings reporting season just finished last week, and that was, distinctly showed that consumer-facing businesses were really in a world of pain. Revenues were dropping, profits were dropping. At some stage or another, that has to lead through to unemployment rising.
So how's the Reserve Bank likely to react?
I think at the moment they'll sit on their hands. There was a worrying figure in there for them, at least on productivity, which would mean that they wouldn't be cutting rates anytime soon. But clearly the economy is not travelling particularly well. I mean, these are the weakest figures in 30 years outside of the pandemic, so that would be weighing heavily on them as well.